He's 6.5. We just got a glimpse that he's in there. So that night, I crawl up to Owen's bedroom. Now he's got all Disney everything. Disney books, Disney puppets, anything Disney we have. And I knew one character he liked was a character named Iago. I crawl up under the bed to the bedside. I throw the bedspread over my head. I push Iago up through the bedspread. He's looking right at you. And I talk to you as who?
Iago the parrot in Gilbert Gottfried's voice!
Okay, now I've got to do... Owen does Gilbert Gottfried better than I do him, but I had to do Gilbert.
So I say, so Owen, wait a minute. How does it feel to be you? I'm lonely and I don't have any friends.
Yeah. You know, and that was the first time we had a conversation, really, you and me, since you're about 2.
Yeah.
And so we talked that night. It was really you talking to Iago with me under the bedspread.
It's the story of Owen Suskind, and Owen Suskind is a young man living with autism, but it's really the story of the last year in his life. Owen, at 3 years old, was struck by autism, and he lost his ability to speak and communicate with the world, and for years after that watched endless Disney animated films and uttered his first words. And his first words was "Just Your Voice" from The Little Mermaid. And his family realized that he had memorized all the dialogue from all the classic Disney animated films, so they all became animated characters, and they drew him out of his autism.
For this film, it was really, we were trying to kind of break some original ground, because what we wanted to do is tell the film through Owen's perspective.
Right.
So there wasn't really a lot of kind of material to look at that would be helpful with that, and it was kind of this path that we were creating. However, we did, and Roger can talk about this, use the Interrotron that Errol Morris uses often in his films.
So, you know, it was really important that this story was told from the, often stories about people living with autism are told from the outside looking in, and this was told from the inside looking out. And so what we literally did was, the Interrotron is a screen with a camera behind it. So the subject is looking into the screen. I did it for a couple reasons, because so that I'm on the screen, Owen spent his life looking at things on screen, so he can look me in the eye and I can actually have a conversation. And he's looking the audience in the eye and telling them his story. And the other thing we did was we played Disney clips on the screen. So Owen is interacting. So basically the audience is like inside the Disney clip. And Owen is mimicking the words and the movements, like for instance in Peter Pan's sword fight, exactly the exact movements of the sword fight. And it's like the effect is like you're sort of inside the Disney movie, really. And
how he's experiencing
how he's experiencing it. And the idea is to, for the whole film is to get inside Owen's head. And as the film progresses, we go deeper and deeper inside Owen's head until we're in a fully realized animated short of
which is based on a story that he wrote.
I just want to talk about it too, because the animation, the original animation for this movie was really fascinating in and of itself. So how do you balance, like you want to tell a story from Owen's perspective, how do you balance all of balance the story of his family, balance the story of Owen's experience to produce like a cohesive narrative for an audience, like fitting, the lives of a family into 1.5 hours?
That was a huge challenge.
Yeah,
it really was. I mean, one thing is that the backstory of what happened with Owen, we wanted to tell that, but we didn't want to kind of have half the film be that and then half the film be the contemporary life that he's, and all of the milestones that he's achieving now, graduating school, moving out on his own, dealing with relationship crises, that type of thing. But so the idea was to really kind of put it together as a puzzle, and then in that puzzle, there was the animation that we were starting to create. First of all, the early animation is really, instead of having some kind of a recreation or having only archive, it really shows what happened when he was a child with his family. And then later, it becomes his story that we were so fortunate to have this roadmap that Owen created of a story that he wrote that is the end. It's the end of the book that Ron Suskind wrote.
So this is a world that Owen created. It's not a world that we created. We brought it to life, and we worked with these amazing animators in Paris named McGuff. And Owen expresses himself. His sidekicks are he's the protector of the sidekicks. The sidekicks are his advisors, advising him in life. And he really does go to those clips to when he's having, and if it's a time of stress, he'll go to those clips and
he looks for the paths to kind of make his way through the world,
like the moving
through these
day,
clips.
and then he watches Dumbo or something like that.
Yes, the moving day he watches Dumbo, or his first night alone when he watches Bambi, the death scene in Bambi, which is, heart-wrenching and devastating.
That scarred my childhood.
Yes.
Or when his relationship was, when his girlfriend broke up with him, he watches a lot of films that have that kind of moment. In Beauty and the Beast or other films
that... You gave it away now.
well, delay releasing. What do you think it was about? Like, that's the topic of the film, the documentary itself. But what do you think it is about Disney movies that speak to him or spoke to him in that crucial moment? Because it's really interesting, like the way that you show how it brings him outside of himself. He starts to emerge into the social world through Disney movies. Why those Disney movies, do you think, or have you found out?
Well, I mean, there's one thing is that it's very easily blueprinted. The stories that take place there, it's very clear. There's these moments, and the emotions are really telegraphed in a way that's very, very easy to connect with and follow. I think that's a big part of why he connects with it. And I mean, there are he likes a lot of other different kinds of animation, and he likes Batman movies.
These are But these are classic fables, classic stories of the hero's journey. And so this is very, we're getting into sort of the world of Joseph Campbell, yes. And so these stories are what we all have been raised on, everyone, so it's, and I think, it's the film is a testament to the power of story, that we all need story to survive. And I think that we see that with Owen.
Well, you kind of answered that question. I was going to ask you, what did you learn about movies from Owen, like throughout the process of the shoot, if anything?
I think I learned about the power of these very classic, the hero's journey. And sort of that we all are taking that journey in our lives. We all are taking our own journey to find our inner hero. So it's universal. And I think.
Yeah, and I think for us it wasn't. Some of the people who worked on the film were very, very familiar with the Disney canon.
Sure.
I was probably a little bit less, as were you. And so it was really interesting to go and explore that and watch these films again and think about them through the way that Owen would see them.
That's interesting. And like watching the film, you start to slowly realize like the appeal that they have. And it's like, it does give you like a script of how to deal with people in troublesome situations and moments of elation. And it's really fascinating because those I grew up with those movies in my childhood, and I was reminded of the appeal and saw how strong that was there. It was really fascinating.
And I think that's so true.
And for me, learning about the sidekicks and how they support the hero, but in a way, but we all feel like sidekicks. I do. I don't know everyone, but I feel like a sidekick.
But you're not like the in control hero.
No, I don't. I never. I wouldn't draw myself as a hero. I draw myself as a sidekick. And so we all identify with that idea that you're all searching for like our inner hero and summoning up our strength, and I think that's pretty universal.
And that solidarity that's needed, right? Which is so powerful for someone who's kind of trapped in his perspective a little bit, right?
To create your community that way.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really touching too, to see how he creates a community out of this mutual love for Disney. Like the Gilbert Gottfried stuff, that was
Yeah,
fantastic.
Gilbert.
Yeah.
Gilbert's been going around to. He was at Sundance, and he was at. We were just at Montclair. We did a 1,700 people with moderated by Stephen Colbert, and
very cool.
Crazy night.
It was a great night, and And
Gilbert and Owen have such a lovely connection.
Yeah, it seems like it.
He, whatever people have like a preconceived notion of Gilbert Gottfried, but he is so sweet and so, giving and kind with Owen. So that's been really fun.
Yeah.
To experience that. But yeah, I mean, he's. When Owen created the Disney Club at school, when he was in before he graduated, he had that. He's the founder. That really was a way to connect with other kids, and many other kids on the autism spectrum have a similar affinity for Disney films.
That's fascinating. That's something I didn't realize either. Like initially, you think, "Oh, okay, this is one incident of Disney really connecting," and you realize, like, no, like those monomyth type stories have such a lasting resonance. That's true for all of us. Right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's great. What did you guys learn about autism or those dealing with different types of abilities throughout the course of filming? Like, did it present any challenges? Was there any like sort of light shed on those issues at all?
I mean, for me, I didn't really know anyone
living
with autism. And so I started out maybe a little uncomfortable, and but as that's so. It's kind of, you kind of see that progress in the movie, like you start out in Owen self-talking and you don't know what to make of it, and you're a little uncomfortable, and as you get to know Owen, you get inside his head and you realize what's going on, and there is something really beautiful and magical, and you learn that Owen and people like Owen have all these incredible gifts to give us if we would just listen and not look the other way.
What do you, like, kind of building off of that, what do you hope that Owen's struggle shows us about ourselves? Like, what do you hope the audience will experience going to watch this movie?
I think I'm really hopeful that people will relate to it on a lot of different levels.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the coming of age part of it, which we all experience either as ourselves coming of age or as parents or older people watching that experience for others. Right. And then there's, of course, what Roger's talking about, which is to have a greater understanding of people, young people, older people who are on the autism spectrum and who face other challenges, and realizing that there's so much to be embraced and learned from. I mean, that's really important to us. And also what's been happening, which is wonderful, a couple of things. One is that people who are seeing it, who are on the spectrum, are feeling seen.
Oh, that's
in a very profound way, and that has been really moving to us, and kind of like beyond our wildest dreams moving. And some testimony, people will stand up and say things that are just remarkable. And also the siblings, which are kind of like the silent siblings that kind of get not they just don't get the same attention necessarily because of the circumstance in the family. Sure. That Owen's brother Walter really speaks for them in this film, and that's really coming across as like something that people are like, I've been waiting. Walter says things that I've been thinking my whole life. I've been waiting to hear somebody say that. I don't say it because I don't feel comfortable saying it to anyone, but it's been suddenly opened up.
Yeah, Walter has emerged as the hero of Life Animated, and he has quite the following now.
That's great.
Because people really, siblings really connect with him, and it's great to see.
And that's a great point about the film too. I really like the focus on Walter as well. Like, as someone who, like, I have people with disabilities in my family as well, and that's something you do see, right? Is that they need support, and as a result, people who can be more self-sufficient, right, aren't usually the center of the attention or the focus and whatnot, right? Yeah. So that's a beautiful.
And the future of what it will become, more of, Owen will become more of Walter's responsibility as his parents get older. I mean, his parents, in the film, I'm always laughing because we're always like, they're at death's door, they're like our age.
Like, I know, exactly. He's a long.
And they're amazing. I mean, Ron and Cornelia are just astonishing, and their capacity for love and their capacity to try to get this story in the world when it's not necessarily their comfort zone. Certainly Cornelia's comfort zone as a private person is really extraordinary.
Yeah, it's as much the film is also a guide to good parenting, to amazing parenting, because they are they are extraordinary parents, and if they could, and when other parents watch this film, and they, not just parents who have children with autism, just about the love that the Suskind family, they have for each other. It's inspiring.
Inexhaustible in a way too, right?
It's inexhaustible. Yeah, exactly. There's
and we're with them again and again, and it just is there. It's very present.
There. Yeah. We've been on the road with them, and it's amazing how close they are.
That's what's interesting too, is that the little moments in the film too speak to that. Like when he loses the Mickey pendant, right? Like these little things that just become little stresses, and you see them like being so tireless and trying to, accommodate Owen and whatnot. And in those kind of moments, how do you decide? You must have a huge array of those kinds of moments. How do you decide?
We have an enormous amount of footage.
I mean, that was a no-brainer because of the that was like the sort of the storyline of the Mickey pendant. That when Emily gives it to him on their anniversary on the beach, and then he loses it, and then he loses Emily, and then he finally takes off the pendant. It was the pendant almost is its own. It's a character.
But I mean, it's funny you mentioned that, because we have a wonderful editor, David Teague, but we had a consulting editor, Richard Hankin, who was so set on that scene in the elevator. He said, as any parent will relate to that moment, because you just want to go, are you kidding? It was great to hear him say that.
Yeah. But that's the finding those great gem moments in the mining, the footage, the material for that. Takes a master editor. David Teague is definitely that. And it's
and we had an incredible team making this film. We really did. Very small and very well, I mean, I guess in the documentary world, it would have been the small group, but it wasn't that small. But very dedicated and kind of all gems themselves.
Yeah. And we had the privilege of time. We had a year-long edit, and that's nice. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, we were still we could then go out and shoot targeted shoots, so we could say, we really don't have enough of this, or Owen's having an art gallery opening. Let's film that could be great. It's not in the film, but we did those kind of things.
We'll have great DVD extras.
Yeah, we really
perfect. The Blu-ray bonus release.
The bonus release. It's gonna be
whole other
it's a whole other thing, whole other universe.